What's going on, everyone? While the stock market itself didn't move too crazily today, there was a whole bunch of crazy news that happened behind the scenes, like a glitch where multiple multi-billion-dollar companies lost 99% of their value for a couple minutes and then popped right back up. At the same time, we have a new update with Roaring Kitty and his giant GameStop position worth, at this point, almost $300 million. And we have a handful of other crazy things brewing behind the scenes. But looking more at the market today, 65% of stocks in the S&P 500 actually closed down in the red. And, we're starting off June, so it should be a pretty exciting rest of the week for multiple reasons. But with that being said, Tom, let's not waste any time and let's get started.
Yeah, there's a lot of tech stocks that look pretty hot today. Like Nvidia was pretty good. Some of them were up, but the majority of the market was down in the red, like you said. You don't really want to see that in the overall market. But whenever you switch over to the SPY itself, it was pretty crazy today. You know, the SPY dipped down quite a bit. I thought we were going to start June off on a pretty red note, but the market ended up roaring right back to life. It kind of reminded me of what we saw on Friday with that nice explosion back up. Obviously, today's wasn't as explosive, but still, that was a great recovery to get the market back barely up into the green there. So, hey, at least we're starting June off on the right foot. And Mike, I will say this, the overall market definitely didn't start off on the right foot because there was that crazy glitch that happened today. And I couldn't believe it. The Oracle of Omaha's stock, Berkshire Hathaway, ended up down 99.9%. I could not imagine what some older people might have imagined today. Like Mike, we were making some jokes this morning. Imagine calling up your broker and then they tell you that Berkshire's trading at $198 a share when it was trading at 600,000 plus the day before, right? I mean, this was a crazy glitch. It affected quite a few tickers, but definitely one of the craziest things I've seen in the market in quite a while.
Seriously. So yeah, everything should be resolved after this, but like Tom said, it was just a glitch, but you definitely don't see events like that too often. But anyways, moving on from that, GameStop and all of the craziness associated with this ticker is back in the headlines again today. So for those of you who don't know, basically Roaring Kitty, or the man who kind of started the original GameStop short squeeze back in 2021, has been hyping up this stock quite a bit over the past couple of weeks, but just yesterday he revealed a $175 million position of GameStop shares and call options, and then obviously people saw that and got very excited and the stock shot up a ton, and now Roaring Kitty's I guess you could say total positions is starting to get very crazy very quickly. We can see that the current value is just under $300 million between the shares and his calls, but we had to bring this up given the, extreme volatility with GameStop.
Yeah, this really is pretty insane here with Roaring Kitty. I mean, how often do you see a guy like this, have a $289 million position, and I'm actually getting pretty worried about him, Mike. I think he's going to start getting in trouble, and we're already starting to see hints of that actually happening as E-Trade's considering kicking him off their platform, which I thought was one of the craziest headlines of the day. I don't know what's crazier, Mike, the stuff with Roaring Kitty or the glitch. Let us know in the comments. I'll be curious to read some of those, but it's definitely weird. He might get kicked off E-Trade, and I saw a lot of people talking about potential investigations, with stock manipulation, obviously. He's posting all these GIFs or GIFs and going crazy out there. And I don't know, Mike, he might end up getting in trouble after all this. I'm curious how that ends up playing out. But nonetheless, GameStop and AMC had some pretty crazy price action today. I would have loved to seen what his account looked like at open today.
Seriously, because the stock fell quite a bit from open, but looking at it right now, it's still up around 20% on the day. But what does genuinely concern me with this one is every time it has popped up in a major way in the short term, a lot of the moves have happened in pre-market. So by the time the market itself actually opens, the price action isn't all that. So looking at GameStop, like any other volatile ticker out there, there is opportunity with it, but you have to trade it in a way that, doesn't put you in a bad position. These stocks are extremely volatile, and you have to understand that, and what comes with that volatility are very expensive options. So whether you're looking at GameStop or AMC or any other crazy stock out there, obviously understand that they're crazy, but also understand that a lot of the moves have been happening in pre-market and after hours.
Yeah, I mean, that really sucked today. Like, there was all this good news and hype behind these stocks, and then when the market opened, they all kind of tumbled over, right? Like, where's that nice upwards price action? Now, I know that these stocks were affected by those glitches that were happening, but still, I mean, I can't believe that there wasn't more bullish movement here, especially with Roaring Kitty and all this hype. Maybe we'll see more bullishness tomorrow, and we'll get a better opportunity when the market's actually open, but, you know, there was, like, moves off the bottom support, and then potential plays there back up, but compared to the overall move, they were very minuscule. So yeah, definitely have to be careful with these stocks in the short term, Mike. You can never, I guess, be too careful with these. It's one of those stocks. I really like your phrase, Mike. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Seriously. And then looking at them like more specifically, when they are making like a big move up or down, there are a lot of scalp opportunities associated with them, but you just have to make sure that you're not left holding the bag. But either way, keep a close eye on GameStop and AMC for tomorrow and even the rest of the week. But another thing that we just have to talk about right now is what is going on with the overall market. So SPY is still very close to its all-time high, but the price action to start out was definitely a little bit weak today. Tom, looking at the market right now, what would you say are some key levels going into tomorrow?
Yeah, so yesterday we talked about a lot of key levels, and I'm looking at 528 is a pretty good resistance here in the short term. Based off of Friday, we saw a lot of consolidation right around that 528 to 529 area. This morning, we rejected right off of 529 and actually retested it and rejected down again. So I have to keep watching these two levels here overhead. It's a pretty good range. And then past there, I really like 530, but like I talked about, 531.50 is huge overhead. There was so many hits off that resistance. So if the market does keep going up, those are some of the big levels I'm looking at, like in that big range there to the upside. To the downside, I really like this area where the market had a lot of bounces today, right around 525.75 to 526. I really like that area as a support for tomorrow. And then below there, maybe like 524.75 or 525 even. But that's what I'm looking at on SPY, Mike. And some of these overhead resistances have been pretty stiff in the short term. So hopefully we can get up and through there to start off June.
Sounds good. And then looking at this chart here, we can see that this past May was actually one of the best Mays that we've seen in a while. And what's pretty interesting is that when you see a May that is, you could say, has a return greater than 4%, that on average, it brings upon greater returns in June than normal, as well as the rest of the year. So like we could see, for example, on average, when May is greater than 4%, the market ends up going up by 10.5% for the rest of the year, where just in normal years, the market normally only ends up rising by 4.9%. So it goes to show you that a strong May definitely helps throughout the rest of the year, but also June as well. But like any statistic out there, just because something has happened in the past and it tends to, be associated with certain results, that doesn't mean that this year has to guaranteed be green for June or the rest of the year. But that's why it's important to always remain adaptable and to continuously deploy smart, long-term oriented trading habits.
Yeah, and these statistics are really cool to look at. I actually really like looking at these charts, Mike. I think that they're awesome. And let me know in the comments if you guys like them as well. And we always know, that historical data like this doesn't always mean that it's going to play out like that this year. I really like how the rest of the year number, whenever May is, over 4%, it's 70% of the time the rest of the year is in the green. 80% it's in the green for the June return. So there's still going to be like those 2 out of 10 times, right, or 3 out of 10 times where like the market's not green based on these stats. So just keep that in mind, guys. But at the end of the day, Mike, we're in earnings season still. I know that this is not the biggest earnings week of the year, but it's still pretty big. Tomorrow we're going to see CrowdStrike report in after hours with HPE, so that'll be pretty interesting. And then Wednesday we got Lulu, ChargePoint, and Victoria's Secret. We talked about Neo a lot last night and like DocuSign, but nonetheless we will talk about those later in the week. But I do like CrowdStrike quite a bit for tomorrow.
There we go. And then we can't forget about the economic schedule either. So at 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, or 30 minutes after open, we do have some JOLTS job data. So be ready for that. And to be honest, that is it for tomorrow for the economic data. So let's jump right into some setups and predictions. A stock I'm watching very closely right now is Chewy. So I've been talking about this stock quite a bit over like the past couple weeks and months. And I even talked about it yesterday, and it continued to move up in a nice way today, but I'm going to continue to look at it in a bullish way. Basically, there is some strong resistance right around this $22.70 area. It's getting closer and closer to breaking above that resistance, and I definitely like the upside risk to reward right here. The stock has been beaten down very badly over the past couple of years, and from its recent earnings report, it finally has some newfound momentum, which it has been desperately waiting for. So either way, I'm looking at Chewy to the upside in the short term, and the short-term price action has been great.
Yeah, and I really like how it's getting up towards the top of its range in the short term as well. And if it ends up breaking that high around 22.70, that could be pretty awesome. So I'm definitely keeping it on the radar. I know a lot of people love Chewy as well. And with my first play, I'm looking at Moderna. This is a pretty big pharmaceutical company. If they end up breaking tomorrow above like 151, I will go ahead and look at them to the upside. And they had some news today where they said that a vaccine actually improves survival in patients with deadly skin cancer. So that's a pretty big piece of news. The stock did have some decent movement. So if they catch more movement or volatility tomorrow, I will try to take advantage of that.
All right. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is AMD. Looking at this stock in the short term, it has definitely been pretty weak relative to other chip stocks, especially Nvidia and ARM, but this stock is getting very close to this $160 support area, and if we can see a break below that level, I think it'll present a pretty good opportunity to the downside, but I definitely want to see it break below 160 first.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. That's a big area of support. If we do see a breakdown there, I would not be surprised to see AMD going lower. They've been really chopping around down here, Mike, and the daily chart definitely doesn't look too good either. With my next play, I'm looking at Meta, and this stock is to the upside. It's actually sitting right on a major resistance. So, if we do see a big rejection off resistance tomorrow, maybe watch it down. But 480 is a major level on this stock, and we'll actually go ahead and look at that on the book map. So book map is pretty awesome. It allows you to see where all the buyers and sellers are lined up in the market. It's almost like X-ray vision, and you can see that 480 area overhead is crucial. So I'm really going to watch this stock tomorrow. If it starts to break out above 480, I will look at opportunities up. You might even be able to catch a nice move up into 480 if you see some bullishness or opportunities there. But the main thing is really just watching 480. But that is a major level, and I really love looking at this on the book map as well.
There we go. All right, well, it's now about that time for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have CCL to the upside.
Carnival Cruise Lines, they're starting to recover up pretty good after getting choppy there for a couple days. If they break out above 1605, then I'll look at opportunities up.
All right, with the next one, we have Boeing, believe it or not, also to the upside.
Yeah, Boeing was pretty crazy today. I actually like this one quite a bit. If it breaks 186, then I'll look at the call opportunities or just opportunities in general.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Coinbase for both directions.
Yeah, so Coinbase is kind of stuck here today. It had some good movement early on, but then got pretty flat. So I would say if it breaks out above intraday resistance around 232, I'll look at it to the upside. If it starts to break down under 228, then I'll look at those downside opportunities.
Sounds good. So we have Coinbase for both directions, and then we have Boeing and CCL for potential upside plays. Basically, these three stocks are on watch for potential day trades tomorrow, if and only if they break through the levels Tom listed. For the upside levels, we're looking for a move higher, and then for the downside level with Coinbase, we are looking for a potential move lower. The stronger and more consistent the price action is, the better the setups become. So keep a close eye on these ones for tomorrow. And let's jump right into today's $885,000 big money trade. And we are looking at ticker symbol PENN. So basically today we saw the big money buy $885,000 worth of the PENN 20 strike call options that expire on October 18th of 2024. Looking at Penn, it has been moving in a great way in the very short term, especially from Friday when they had that news related to that activist investor that is looking to get the company sold. But either way, in the short term, the price action has been pretty good. As you zoom out, the price action gets pretty nasty. But the big money is, assuming they are buying these call options, is looking for Penn to go up as much as possible. The higher this goes, the more millions they will make. They are the 20 strike call options, like I said. They have a good amount of time to them, which is always good to see. The only concerning thing, in my opinion, is the fact that these call options are a decent amount out of the money. They are the 20 strike, and the stock is currently at like $17.30 right now. So that definitely adds in a little bit more risk than usual. But overall, I am pretty excited to see how this setup ends up.
Yeah, I really think Penn is an interesting one here, and I really like the way it started moving up with that news in the short term. If they keep up with this good momentum, we could see some pretty good opportunities. But I will say this, the area that Penn is in right now is a pretty choppy area. The last time we were in this price action, or in this zone, you could see that the price action was actually very choppy and sideways on that slow move down, right? So just be prepared for that. Maybe it'll chop around for a little bit before having a true breakout, but we'll see whether or not this news starts to really grab hold in the short term, because that could be a pretty big deal if they do, get the job done, or get the job done, so to say, right? But I'm definitely watching it, Mike. I don't like the strike either being 20, but it is what it is, right? If we do see a move up, that'll be a great strike. But at the end of the day, if I had a ton of shares down here, which I don't on Penn right now, I would definitely be looking to sell some at the 20 strike.
Yep, and again, it's not a bad trade by any means. It's just a little bit more risky than usual given the strike price, because in the event Penn does have, let's say, a move higher, those 20 strike call options can go absolutely insane. It's just the main question is that will Penn get above 20? And that will be answered by the momentum. But either way, again, I'm very excited to see how this one does. And the stock has been just slowly fading lower for many, many months now. And it feels like this catalyst is, a little bit different than, what we've seen over the past couple of years. But again, we'll see what happens. We'll continuously monitor this price action. And the more pressure it puts on recent highs, the better the setup will ultimately become.
Yeah, and they have ESPN Bet, which is a pretty big platform. Maybe that'll help influence a deal or something like that. Maybe somebody will step in and look to get this company or something. But either way, Penn has a lot of volatility in the short term. But Mike, I have to go back to the book map. We talked about it earlier, and it's so crucial to be able to see where all these big buyers and sellers are lining up in the market. You can use this to influence entries, exits. You can look for targets this way, watch for resistances. I really like to go on the chart and see the big levels like 480 on Meta, like we talked about earlier, how I compared it on the chart. You can see it lined up on the chart, and you can see the sellers really stacked up here in real time. So it's great for confirming overhead resistances and supports. But shout out the Bookmap. It's one of the best platforms out there.
Seriously, there's really nothing else out there like it, and we've been using it for a couple years at this point, and I haven't seen one person say something negative about it. So if you guys have been watching our videos for some time and you guys have been seeing these crazy looking charts and want to try it out for yourself, check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Basically, if you use that link, a special offers section will pop up where you can save. So definitely check it out there. But Tom, heading into tomorrow, again, the market's still very close to all-time highs. We have the GameStop and meme stock craziness brewing, and we have a handful of other stocks starting to move in some pretty exciting ways. So I think tomorrow's going to be a great one. If you guys are new to the channel, consider demolishing that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. In every single video, we cover big money trades, all the important news you need to know, and interesting charts like the, I guess you could say, May/June one that we showed earlier that you just would have never otherwise seen. So consider joining the Stocked Up crew and demolishing that subscribe button. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's crush it this week.